What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Taste Like Music. Jason and Joe here. This is our Album of the Week series. Although it's been many weeks since we've done one of these episodes. We got way behind on these when I got sick, so and then we did Prince, and that took up a bunch of time. So we're just getting back to these now. So you'll see a few of these quickly in a row, probably coming up soon. So, but eventually we'll get back on our weekly schedule with them. Hopefully, maybe. No promises. Uh,
And we're canceling the whole series after this. That's it.
Today we're talking about the debut Beachwood Sparks album. Their Wikipedia calls them alt country, but I think probably closer to like an Americana, cosmic American music, psychedelic pop mixed in there as well. Some Birds, some Grateful Dead influence, a little Beach Boys sprinkled on there as well. So they're pulling from more than just country and cowpunk and that kind of stuff. I have heard some of their albums before. I heard their newest one that came out this year. I think I heard some like probably most of their other albums except for this one at some point. So this is the only one that I don't think I've ever heard. And generally I like them, but not a band that has ever become a favorite of mine. So
Yeah, I listened to their new one, I think before I listened to this one or right after, around the same time, because it was picked for album of the week. And I wanted to get a little background on them. But other than that, I guess I've heard of them before, but never really on my radar. And they have a weird history. They broke up for a while. So I don't know. I guess they were bigger in the early 2000s. Maybe.
yeah, I don't know that they were ever that big, though. I think they kind of found their spot in that scene and they built a fan base. But beyond that, I don't know how familiar people are with them or even familiar with their name. So yeah, we can get into it. We're gonna break the video up a little bit into different pieces.
Well, I guess the only other background is that they're on Sub Pop. At least this one was. Which I don't know what Sub Pop was doing in the 2000s after grunge died. I guess they just got into the indie kind of alternative scene.
Yeah, that Pacific Northwest indie stuff. I think I mean, they had some big albums in the 2000s. I think the Shins were pretty big for them as well. So, okay, let's talk about the songwriting on this album. I think they're pretty traditional in their songwriting. Lyrically, I didn't find anything super compelling on this, and melodically, I don't think it's quite as like hooky as I'd typically hope for with this kind of thing. And maybe that's what keeps them from becoming like an upper echelon kind of band for me. It's with them, it's I think much more about the sound they're making than the songs with the high lead vocals and the harmonies and piano and pedal steel. It just kind of conjures up that sort of nostalgic, dreamy feeling. The songs themselves, to me, feel almost secondary. I think there's a lot to love in their sound, and I like listening to their playing. I just think songwriting wise, there could be a little more meat on the bones.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. I think today this would be called hypnagogic pop. This is like kind of the sound that people keep coming back to. I don't know how much of this was around in 2000, so maybe I would have liked it more and been more into it. But the whole retro thing, it's tough to listen to something today and figure out what was going on in the world and the music industry and all that. But I agree that it is a very good vibe and a very good sound. Like they're very Birdsian. Here's some like Neil Young, some of the folky stuff he's doing in the 70s, Graham Parsons, cosmic country stuff. And I think they nail the sound, but like you, I don't know if any of these songs are great. Like I think they're all good, they're all passable. There's nothing here that I do not like. But there were only a couple times, more towards the end, like CO3, I think probably is the high point for me, where I was just like, okay, that's really nice. That's really pretty. That goes beyond just sounding like the 60s and 70s and, also delivers a good song that I would want to hear multiple times because it has all the elements. It has the pedal steel, the nice harmonies, and a great guitar sound. But yeah, the songwriting just isn't on that level yet. Maybe it never will be. Although I think their songwriting on their newest album is pretty good and better than on this one, but this has a better sound, I think. So it's kind of tough.
Okay, so we kind of already touched on it talking about the songwriting, but the musicianship, I think that's really I think that's where they really shine. I think they're all good players, maybe not like gonna make your jaw drop or like impress you with technical ability, but it's well played, and the way they play together and interact with one another and create this vibe, like you were talking about, I think works really well. I think it's the strength of the record, and yeah, the best thing going on here.
Yeah, they sound great. I mean, credit to the production as well for making them sound like they do, but the jangliness and the acoustic guitars and everything, it sounds great. The pedal steel is fantastic. Not like really, in your face. It's not quite, Sneaky Pete, but it's nice. It adds character to all the songs, and yeah, it sounds good. Again, the playing, the production, not the issue at all for me with this band.
All right, well, let's dig into the production just a little bit more. It sounds like a band in a room playing. The production doesn't get in the way. There's nothing really stand out about the production to me. I don't think you really notice it or think about it too much when you're listening to this record. It stays out of the way, which I think for this type of record is a good thing, and it's kind of what you want. I don't think there's any real need for studio trickery or a lot of fancy like soundscapes happening underneath, or like music beds. I think some nice organ and pedal steel taking care of that for you. And yeah, it's really just capturing the sound of the band, and I think it does that well. So no real issues with the production for me.
No, production's totally fine for me. I like the way, I mean, it channels and sounds like the 60s and 70s very well. And it's got maybe a little bit of like that Elephant Six indie vibe. A little bit, not too much, not enough to scare me away, which is good. Um, so yeah, the production, it doesn't sound like it doesn't sound like late 90s, early 2000s production to me. Like it sounds better than that because I do not care for that era of production very much. But I don't know if I would really, I wouldn't think, oh, this is from early 2000s because it has that indie sound to it. I think they eschew all that and better for it.
Yeah, I think if I had to put a date on it, I probably would have guessed more like mid 90s, a little earlier, like around the earlier Jayhawk stuff, that kind of sound. Do you have a best and worst song?
Best song, I'll go with two. CO3, I think is really good. And Sister Rose has a real British invasion sound. It might be the one song that stands out from the rest the most in its differentness. Beatles fronted by Graham Parsons, basically. A little psychedelic at the end. Worst song, I mean, I don't particularly care for the two sort of, I don't know what they are, little bridges, the singing butterfly and sleeping butterfly, where it's just a 1 minute or so, just sort of repeating motif. That's kind of annoying. I don't quite get why that is needed here.
Yeah. Desert Skies, the opening track's actually my favorite. I think they come out of the gate pretty hot there, playing really well together. And yeah, worst for me is Singing Butterfly with like was it a busy signal?
I don't know what it
Yeah.
is.
So, uh, but it's not like a huge detriment to the record. It's just kind of a little passing thing. So, scores, I'm going 3.5 on this. I think it's good, but yeah, again, not blowing me away.
Yeah, I'm high 3.5, but not quite enough for a 4 to make me really want to come back to it.
All right. Well, if you've heard this record, maybe you've known it for a long time, or maybe you just checked it out because we were going to, let us know what you think of it. Hit the like button, subscribe, hit the bell, check our Patreon link in the video description. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.